Hey everybody, Brent Wright here, your Northwest Indiana real estate agent. So I'm really sorry I missed last month when it came to my market report. I do need to apologize about that, so sorry. But doing one today, so I'm doing it for the month of November, 2024, comparing to 2025 here in Northwest Indiana, and I just compare the residential market to give everybody kind of a feel of what's happening here in Northwest Indiana. I don't know if you remember the last episode or last video. I basically talked about how things got really quiet all of a sudden. Home sales were well. So again, I did that video in October, so it was comparing September sales. The month of October got very quiet, and a lot of November got quiet, and I talked about that in the video, saying I'm kind of curious how the real estate market will perform in coming months. I didn't really understand what the holdup was because it wasn't like a normal market like what we would have in October, and the only thing I could you know justify what was going on was maybe the government shutdown. Funny thing is, once the government shutdown was over in the month of November, home sales started picking up pretty quick. Okay, so these numbers are going to reflect like that little period here. But so, as an example, the amount of homes that closed in November of 25. Now, this is the first time we've had a reduction since June of this year. June's when we started seeing an upflow and more homes sold in that month of that year versus the month in the year before. So we're down basically 17% in home sales, okay, in the month of November. It makes sense because it's very, very quiet. However, the average sale price increased 9.19%. Good part of that is because of new construction and things like that with buyer incentives. The price per square foot increased just over 7% as a whole. Okay, so these are really big numbers. Even though the volume's down, the prices are still up. Now, I did do some median price points to give you another idea. So, median sales price increased 4.5%, and the price per square foot on the median was 3.16% of an increase. I know you're seeing a lot of stuff in the news, and I know you hear me talk about this. Home sales are down, this, that, yada, 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 which they were down. Obviously, sales were down. I think that's a temporary thing. Like I said, it picked up in the end of November. I think what we're going to see, December sales are going to definitely reflect like the lull in the market. But January, I'm kind of curious because it's gotten really busy. There's actually a huge push of people trying to close by the end of the year. It can happen. I think we got a handful of contracts last week, all trying to close by the end of this year. So, anyways, what I didn't do is go over like the percentage, but still, I want to. I know you can't see my screen, so I'm sorry about that. But last year, 58.32% of homes sold in the first 30 days. This year, we're at 56.12 in the month of November. Okay, so I mean, a good percentage of the homes are selling. Now, what we are seeing a difference of is the list to sales price. And that's where, so like here, last year in the month of November, the original list price, the seller got 97.7% in the first 30 days. This year, it's about the same, 97.67. So there are reductions. They're not huge reductions, right? And even with those reductions factored in, we're still seeing the average increase, which means we're just kind of listing the properties as a whole collectively like too high, right? Until it finally sells. But either way, it's still a strong market here in Northwest Indiana. The growth is amazing. There's subdivisions popping up everywhere. There's a lot of anticipation of people leaving the city. Coming soon, we're gonna see in 26. This is something I talked about years ago. But the adjustments in commercial lending and the balloons, sometimes like these high-rise buildings, now they're starting to sell them off really cheap because of high vacancies and things like that. And so it's getting more expensive on the investors that own the properties. The banks are going to start having troubles that have money financed in these properties, have money tied up into them. I think that's something that we're going to really see next year. Typically it's a 5-year adjustment rate or balloon. So I'm thinking the chaos will definitely be coming next year in the commercial side, but not everywhere. I'm thinking more, it's going to be more specific to major cities like New York, Chicago. I was reading an article a few weeks ago. The city of Chicago is sitting at a 28% vacancy rate, the highest ever when it comes to commercial office space in the city. And that number just keeps growing, right? So eventually, like, these notes are going to come due or they're going to adjust, and the landlords aren't going to be able to make the payment more than likely because of the high vacancy rates and the reduced amount in income that's coming in on the building. So they're going to have to bring money to the table, refinance. It's going to get kind of weird. That's when I think, from when that point starts, like, we've seen so many people move over to Indiana, but when that really starts taking into effect and sinking in 27 and in 28, that's when I think Northwest Indiana is going to really, really grow. We've grown a lot. I mean, there's neighborhoods everywhere. St. John, Crown Point, Valpo, Hobart's got a nice one coming in. I mean, they're everywhere. Portage, there's 1,600 plus homes coming in the next 5-ish years. I mean, it's absolutely amazing the growth that's coming. Anyways, I know a lot of people say the real estate market, this, that, whatever, but when you hear about the real estate market, it is specific to an area. In our area, the reduction in sales, I understand. I really thought the government shutdown, and I feel like I was right, because as soon as that government shutdown was over, within 2 to 3 days, the showings picked up and the sales started coming in and things like that. So I think next year is going to be a very good year here in Northwest Indiana. I think it's going to be, buyers have a little more time picking a home. It's not like, hey, you got to jump and buy. I don't think we're going to see that market, but I think it's going to stay very stable and strong. And if the interest rates can come down, like right now, they're like low 6s, mid 6s for like a good rate, But if they get into that 5-ish range, like 5.5, I think it's going to really pick up. So thank you for watching the channel. Again, stay tuned for next month. I really will try to get it out. Sorry, I actually made a video earlier than today, the 9th, but I didn't like it. So if you know how to edit videos, I'd love for you to reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. Maybe you could help me with these. Thanks, guys.